2. We are live.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Joe, do you know why some businesses succeed and some businesses fail? Why some businesses grow and some businesses don't? That's what this show is all about. Business, business, business.
All right, welcome to the Lost Dollar Business Club.
There you go.
All right, gentlemen, good to see you again.
For the people on the podcast that aren't watching, John is wearing a 1939. What kind of cap is that? I know you got
this. I bought this in the Czech Republic.
Okay, when there was a Czech Republic.
Yeah, and it was at a famous bar, and they called it a partisan hat. So
a partisan hat. So does it make you a communist? Is it a Nazi hunting hat, or is it just a partisan hat? Is it just a party hat?
So partisan. They were against the Germans, right?
Right. So it's a Nazi hunting hat. I like it, and he's going to go down to South America wearing that. So good luck. So before we get into the show, really quick, and Michael's going to tell us what we're going to see this week or talk about this week. Next week. Next Saturday, which I think is the 24th of February, we are off. There'll be no Lost Dollar Business Club. We know that you people will be so disappointed, but we are off. John will be on his way to go find Nazi gold. Everybody else is taking a long-deserved holiday to get themselves ready for the rest of the year. So just letting everybody know that next week on the 24th of February, there'll be no show. So don't panic. We will be back.
Don't panic.
After, which is March 1st. I think when we come back March 1st, we have Gandalf.
March 2nd, yeah.
March 2nd, we have Gandalf, and then I think we also have a guy that's going to be coming on that has a new kind of medicine that he's a biomedicine that he's going to be talking about. We're negotiating that. It's very cool. Yes. I'm excited. Yeah, I met him at a party, so he wants to come on. So I'm like, come on. Of course, I meet everybody at parties. So, it's the Illuminati party. So we met him there. And then we have a couple other people that may come on. So March and April, we should have lots of interesting guests for everybody.
Yes.
So, we're looking forward to it.
At the end of the month, we're gonna have Cory Doctorow again talking about his new book against big tech.
Yeah. And thank God, if it wasn't for us, Cory would be nowhere. He was in the Financial Times because of us. His books sell off the shelf like brown car guy. Why? Because of us. Because of us, we know. Yes. So that's the only reason. So John knows. He's just humble about it. So what are we going to talk about today, guys?
Yeah, we've got quite a few topics here, big ones. There are farmers' protests all across Europe, at least in France and the UK, but it's spreading all over the place.
Right.
There are farmers who want fair wages and fewer restrictions, and a lot of those are coming from environmental restrictions against nitrogen and that kind of work. So there's some concerns there. And then we'll go to our tech topics around OpenAI. Can OpenAI survive? It's doing great. It's got all kinds of money coming in, but does the business model work? The Financial Times has an article questioning that. And we'll talk about the Vision Pros, the Apple Vision Pros. Amazing technology from what it sounds like, but many people are returning them.
Well, before we get into it, let's do this. We got to pay some bills.
Get the freedom and the flexibility of remote work in the lucrative tech industry. Bend your life around the world. Bandicoot is the premier course and community for thriving in a remote tech career. Join the revolution today. Bandicoot.com, official partner of the Lost Dollar Business Club.
John, you should like their slogan. It says, join the revolution. Perfect with that hat.
That's right.
It's great. That's awesome. All right, so we're going to talk about the farmers in France.
The farmers, yeah. I mean, it seems like French. The UK. Right. It went from France, the UK, and remember the Netherlands had some protests last month.
Right.
So there's a lot of concern, and I live in a rural area, so I understand farmers are getting squeezed in the States. The protesters aren't happening here yet. but certainly it's happening in France and the UK. And yeah, they're using their tractors to stop traffic all across the country. They were doing this in France. They were surrounding Paris. So
surrounding Paris. It's
yeah,
1940. We're surrounding Paris.
No,
You
look,
know.
it's not just
Yeah.
France and the UK. It's
No.
the Netherlands has been having it for, on and off a year.
Right.
In Germany they also did it. The farmers have also, protested. They've gone to Berlin. They've closed highways. Happened in France. It's happened in Italy. It's happening in Poland. And Hungary.
Mhm.
Part of the reason, is two reasons. In Poland and and Hungary and those places, it's more they're protesting cheap grain that's coming from Ukraine. That when they, in this solidarity to support Ukraine, they've opened the European market to Ukrainian grain, and it's it is lower quality and it's cheaper. So the Poland is the Polish guys are protesting that's
Specific,
that one
yeah.
specific item, but the rest of them, it's just the bureaucrats in Brussels are just typical bureaucrats. They just sit there. What else are they going to do?
Right.
They create rules, and they have this insane concept that they have to cut carbon emissions when
Mhm.
the rest of the world is not matching them and never will.
Right.
And so, in the Netherlands, they said they wanted the government wanted to basically close down 2/3 of farming, so that they could eliminate, you know, carbon emissions from farming. It's just idiocy. I mean, and what I don't understand is, why people in Europe don't realize what their own governments are doing, which
Mm.
is, you know,
Ostrich. They're
yeah,
ostriches, John. They
ostrich.
keep their
By the
head.
time
They
they
stick their head in the
realize
sand. Right.
Well,
they,
and
they,
and
they
and it
they're
keeps
gonna be,
being, and these products are cheaper, but they don't think
Mhm.
about why it's cheaper. And the
They
Guardian
don't
brought up
think.
that
Right.
point. They're using, who knows what they're using to grow food in other parts of the world where it's
Right.
less regulated.
But also, to John's point, they're protesting, but the farmers in the US protested. You both are too young to know this, back in the 70s. And when I say 70s, I mean the year 70. No, but like in the 70s and 80s, the farmers here protested, and we just kind of poo pooed it away. And if you remember, the 80s and the 90s, a lot of farms went away, family farms, right? It became these big,
That's
ADM farms or Argyle or
industrialized,
whoever, right? It's mega farms now. So
mega.
the family farm is not really here anymore. Where I think, to John's point, in Europe, there's a lot of family farms that have been generational, and now the problem is, what do we do? And
Mhm.
to his other point, the politicians have their head up their ass. They don't have a clue.
Yeah.
They don't go out there and toil and know and do. And the public generally sticks their head in the sand. There's only a handful of people that really know what they're eating. Everybody just, oh, give me this. So
That's maybe part of the problem. People aren't
yeah,
thinking about
right.
where's the food coming from, what's in the food, what is being
Yeah,
used to grow it.
yeah,
I mean, that seems like an endemic problem, though. That's all over the
yeah.
place.
yeah, it's all over the place. It's true.
Because people
I
want
mean,
cheap and they want easy, and nobody wants to take the time, I think, to think about how do we make it better for everybody and sustainable and this and that.
Yeah.
No, it's like cheap, easy, cheap, easy, cheap, easy, cheap, easy.
Yeah.
So when people get sick or kids are obese, well, one, they're obese because they don't go out and play, or people are obese, right?
Yeah.
It's not
yeah,
because they're just fat pigs. That's part of it. The other part of it is you're eating shit. And
Yeah.
if you
The
don't eat healthy,
quality of
I don't
food.
care
Yeah.
what you do, it's not going to work.
yeah,
So, and we don't do anything. I'm not just saying in the US, but as a society globally for that. It's just sort of like, yeah, we're not worried about it. Like the governments
That's
don't
part
seem
of
to
why
care.
that's part of why we're having this discussion, because we
Right.
need people to know that farmers are pointing out, they're like the canary in the coal mine. They're
Yep.
pointing out a
yeah,
serious problem that's quickly taking. I mean, if these farms go out of business, you have no options.
Correct.
That's a big problem. If you're relying entirely on imported goods, you have no local farms, and that's not going to be good for France, Britain, or us.
yeah,
No.
yeah. Yeah, it's not good. It just. But what's surprising is did it get it did the local governments are supporting the EU directives, right? To
Mm.
well, we got to close
Why
down
are
a
the
bunch of
politicians
farms.
supporting it?
Yeah, we gotta close the farms because we have these insane goals of zero carbon by the year dot,
Right.
and it just
Not happening.
it, it's I forget what the number of that Europe as a whole contributes to the world, but if they do, it's not going to be meaningful. It's not going to have
Right.
any impact uh, to the overall global problem. It's either we
Right.
do it all together or it
Right.
doesn't work.
Mm.
And
Well, there was an article a couple weeks ago in the FT, and they said that the scientists have already seen that the oceans, and they're going that it's already risen
Yes,
that 1.5 C
acidification.
that it's not supposed to. It's already done it. So they're sort of like, okay, well that's done. What's the next thing? So to John's point, if we don't get together as a globe, as a people, and not worry about what country you're in, and decide to do it and make a firm date, it's great that they have COP28 and that you have everybody in Dubai talking about it. And the only people that I actually see doing it, other than maybe the EU that are just trying to kill off farmers, is really the guys in the Middle East, right? The guys who actually produce the oil are actually doing more to investing in carbon,
Mm.
not credits, but carbon cleanup. Dubai, Saudi, Qatar, all of them are investing in technologies to try to clean the carbon out of the atmosphere and do something with it. And they have one of the I think it's in UAE. Their fund went from like 2 billion to 25 billion to make investments in new carbon technology. To
That's a
help
huge
clean the
leap.
planet, right? So when people talk about it, I'm like, that's nice. Do something. Oh no, we can't do anything. So I give credit to the UAE and the other countries that are saying, you know what, screw you, we'll do something about it. We'll write a check. So they're writing a check, and they're at least trying to do something. So you give them some credit for it.
Well, they've
yeah,
got they've got enough money to do it, and it's part of the source of
I
the
hate to tell you this,
substance.
all the governments have enough money because all they do is print it. It's not like our
That's
dollar is backed by
another
anything.
issue.
Right? I mean, it's not like we're on the gold standard anymore. If we were on the gold standard, we'd be different, but we're not. So when there's a problem, what do? We bailed out the banks in '08. Why? Because the billionaires would have gone out of being broken. And what do? We printed money. A couple of years ago, when SVB went out of business, what did?
Yep,
We
that's the
printed
money.
3 billion. So it's not really that
Mm.
we don't have the money. We could write a check tomorrow to every company we want because it's make believe. So it's kind of like, who cares at this point? It's like it's just make believe money because it's not
Well,
backed
people
by
just,
anything.
but you have to get people to make decisions
Right.
about what to do at that scale. Then
Yeah. They're not going to make. We don't make decisions in any country, which is evident.
are you
I'm saying, get
pointing?
back. The
Are you
UAE seems to make decisions. So does Saudi Arabia right now. The
individual?
rest of
Yeah,
the world
right.
sits there.
As
Yeah.
individuals,
all
we
right,
can.
but let's not get into let's not make them these beautiful little places because they got a lot of
Oh, I know.
cash.
Yeah.
They greenwash what they are. They're a bunch of dictators for life there. Their
Where?
families that
That's
are
true.
running these things. Come on, it's like,
Where in the UAE?
yeah,
Let me tell you
yeah,
something. I go to you, which I'm okay with that if you want to call them that, because it's a Shangri-La, my friend. There's no crime. There's traffic. They're building high-speed rail. They're doing more stuff there than we're doing, and we're supposed to be America. Like, look at us. And these other countries, whether it's dictated or not, are doing more with technology and more with other things than we are. So, if you
yeah.
if
Well,
Okay,
you
you
get
do have
so
to.
they're putting a lot of infrastructure, but
right,
yeah, if you're not part of the in crowd, I don't think
yeah,
you're
that's true.
doing any better. Plus, they bring, I wouldn't say it's slave labor, but really cheap labor from India,
Right.
Bangladesh,
Pakistan,
Pakistan.
sure.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
don't.
I
I don't want
mean,
to be rude or
okay,
anything, John. But when America was building its infrastructure back 200 years ago, we did the same thing. Just so we're
okay,
clear. So
maybe,
maybe
yeah.
No,
Chinese
that's
built the railroads, and they were dying left and right. You have
Well, in the
Chinese,
West,
Mexican. I mean, yeah, but all over there's like slave labor. Yeah, child. I mean, like we could go through it. There's no
well,
country that's perfect when they build their infrastructure. That's full stop. There's no
all right,
country
but
that says we're going to do
that
X,
was
Y, Z.
200 years ago. So
Yeah.
this is today. Maybe we've evolved a little bit.
I don't think so. And here's what's really funny
Okay.
about that statement.
Yeah.
200
Yeah.
years ago, you know what they said? 200 years ago in the
Yeah.
1600s, right? So it's always 200 years ago. And they said that, and there was a John, a Steve, and a Mike, and they had their little podcast back then. It was with a candlelight at a bar. And they were
Mhm.
like, you know, we've evolved from the 1600s to the 1800s. And there was one of us big on, maybe not. 200 years
Alright.
later,
No, but
same thing. We're like, maybe
the
not.
issue is you
So,
still have to point out. You still have to point out
Right.
governing structure, and
Yeah.
Right.
you know you can
Right.
champion the good things that they're doing as an action. You know, taking good action to maybe improve infrastructure or try new technologies. But we still have to acknowledge who's behind it, and
That's
who's
true.
behind it are pretty questionable individuals. It seems like
Yeah,
with
China
has
these
done
questionable
amazing things for
questionable
infrastructure.
social actions.
Who China? Oh, the Belt and Road program. China's doing great for him. Well, they do and they
They
don't.
they built
They do.
highways all over the place,
I know.
high speed trains,
Listen,
manufacturing and everything.
just the
I mean,
fact because they kill
Just
their
don't say
people and
anything
put them in
against
camps.
the
I was
boys
just gonna
on
say you
top.
can't
Don't
say
say
anything
anything
bad about
against
China.
right.
Yeah,
So yeah, but other than
yeah,
that, they're wonderful people.
yeah.
Just so
They're
you know,
wonderful.
good
They're
food,
very nice. Yeah,
good food and everything. So it's very nice. I like China.
yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
listen, next week when I'm in Dubai at the Illuminati lizard people meeting, we'll discuss this. So
please bring it up.
I will
Please,
bring it up.
yeah,
Topic number
we
one.
yeah, need some help there.
So it'll be
Well,
very
let's
cool.
shift gears to the tech world
All right,
because
before we do that, let's run a tech ad
that's right,
and pay that
not a
bill,
tech
and
ad.
then we'll do all
Yeah.
tech.
Making the right connections is vital to your business and professional success, but reaching out to strangers is awkward and mostly a waste of time and resources. Imagine a world where AI takes the hassle out of networking. Enter Hero, your noise-free professional network powered by AI. What's so cool about Hero? How about getting your own AI networking assistant that's dedicated to solving your challenges by handpicking connections and opportunities that are right for you? But Hero does more than just meaningful matchmaking. We equip you with a customized storefront accessible to anyone on or off the Hero network to help enhance your brand and boost your revenue, making it easy to turn those meaningful connections into valued customers, all within Hero. Hero is networking as it should be, meaningful conversations with well-meaning people without the noise.
That's
All
right.
right.
Okay. Now we can go into tech.
Well, AI, yeah. Now we can talk about AI, in
There you
particular, OpenAI.
Yeah.
Sam
Sam Altman.
Sam Altman. That's right.
Yeah,
He said that it's going to take $1 trillion
I
to
saw
make
that. No,
to make
$7 trillion.
$7 trillion.
$7 trillion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
7 trillion?
those are big
Jesus.
numbers to come up with. Artificial general intelligence.
Yeah. He's like, it'll take
Yeah, it's
$7
just-
trillion over the next umpteen years. And I'm
Where's
thinking,
that money going to come from? I mean, I think
Yeah.
people are pouring money into generative AI. I think so. I saw the stat on the last quarter of startups being invested in. Half of them were AI related startups.
Yep.
All the VC money a lot of the VC money is going there.
I hate to say this about Sam Altman because I think what he's doing with ChatGPT and AI and LLM and MOUSC and all that stuff is great. But the more I read about him and the more I hear him speak, he's starting to remind me of the guy from FTX.
Yes. Yeah.
Sam Balt, whatever. He's literally, when I hear him, I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Okay. So the more he talks and the more he does things, I'm like, you really remind me of this guy. It's like I'm getting like a little like I don't think it's going to take 7 trillion. And maybe it does. I don't know. I am not him. I'm not sitting there and seeing, but it's sort of like, it's just I'm like waiting for the house of cards to collapse on it. And I could be totally wrong. And if I am, I hope so. But if I'm not, I'm going to be like, okay, that's what you remind me of. You remind me of this guy. And I don't know if it's just the way he speaks, what I'm reading about him, but everything I'm reading and when I hear him speak, it's kind of like watching the FTX guy all over again. And I'm just like, interesting.
I mean, he's in touch with the serious infrastructure costs that it takes to even run GPT, and kind of scaling out what it's going to cost if you're using the same LLM technology.
But isn't the technology supposed to improve over the years, though, and get better, whether it's with quantum computing or something or whatever, or AI making it better? Why would it take $7 trillion? I mean, like, forget the infrastructure and cloud and all that, but just theoretically, really $7 trillion? I think we've gotten to a point in our society where you just throw numbers out. You know, like back in the day, if you said 100 million, people are like, ooh. And now it's like 7 trillion, and people are like, oh, it's 7 trillion. Oh, well, that's nice. You know, John has $7 trillion. We're all going to go to Vegas this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, I think we just throw numbers out and we don't really think of what they mean anymore. I don't know what comes after a trillion. I wish I did. I'm not that smart, but whatever that is, pretty soon we're going to throw that. That'll be the next number we throw out.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the idea that
Next time we're going to print.
and how
Yeah.
screwed up is it, right? That we're going to spend. Let's just say it is 7 trillion. Ridiculous.
Right.
You know, absolutely freaking ridiculous. We got other problems.
Yep.
You know, we don't really need to invest. I think our priorities are wrong if we put all that money into AI, because, you know, I mean, we got much bigger issues than having to develop this technology, which sure, maybe it helps, but, you know, who knows what the real consequences are. And second
Right.
is, you know, aren't language models, AI models get dumber the more
Yes.
interaction they have with humans? So I
Mine
mean,
does.
yeah, because they learn from the questions that you ask.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
you got a whole bunch of monkeys out there that are using this with stupid questions. You know, it's anyway, but you know, from a just financial thing, it
Yeah.
just makes no sense to invest that kind of
Oh, and so
cash.
many. When you look at all the healthcare problems, social problems,
Jesus, yeah,
community
Put 7
problems.
trillion into that shit, and you could clean the
yeah,
planet
that's
up. You know
exactly
what I
my
mean?
point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
I
good
know.
point.
Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, after a trillion comes
a
quadrillion
quadrillion.
with
Yeah,
right.
a
Wait. But then
quadrillion.
after a quadrillion, we come sextillion, a septillion, an octillion. I want to meet the octillion. It sounds like an octopus. Something null something, and a So basically, I predict within the next 5 to 10 years, people will start talking about quadrillion because trillion's not enough.
That's not
Quadrillion
enough.
will be the next. Yeah, it'll be. I'm waiting to see that now in print in the Financial Times. I remember. I think it was about 10 years ago when I first saw the Financial Times print $1 trillion on something like 1T, and I was like, "Holy shit!" That's the first time I ever saw that. I'm waiting for them to print 1Q, which would be 1 quadrillion.
1Q,
That is the
that's what-
next. That's the next thing I'm looking for, and I think that's when we know we're finished as a society. But to John and yours point, I don't know why we just don't take $7 trillion and fix everything, and then if you want to build the utopia, AI, do that.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
Well, that's part of the debate in the Financial Times about OpenAI's model. The question is
Right.
is aiming for artificial general intelligence, like this amazing different intelligence, is aiming for that in alignment with what everybody else needs right now, or wants right now, which is just something to make some efficiencies here and there, make businesses more productive. Is the moonshot too big of a moonshot? Is kind of what I feel like they're asking.
Yeah. I don't think it's too big. I think it has to be more realistic. And I think the problem is you get these guys who came from the tech industry when it was sort of like drunken sailors in a whorehouse, right? Whatever you need, we're just going to give you money. And it's like printing money with your stuff. And I think this guy, as smart as he is coming from that environment. It's just like, to him, it's like, it's only $7 trillion. Like, you know, a little kid throwing it. Why can't I have that Hershey's bar, right? I can't. It's like, it's only 7 trillion. Give me my money. It's like, it's $7 trillion. Like if I was a trillionaire, I'd say, do you know how much money that is? That's a lot of money. You know what I mean? So I don't think a lot of these guys, and I mean this with actually I mean this with no respect at all, live in the real world, because they don't understand what the average American or middle-class American goes through every day. You know, gas costs this much, eggs cost, they don't understand. It's like they sent their executive assistant out and they don't give a shit. And that's it. So when they say I need $7 trillion in their mind, it's like, I need $5. And I'm like, that's nice, but what are you going to give me for 7 trillion? So what's my return? So if, look here, I'll put my investment banking hat on. John, you should, right?
There you go.
What's our ROI on that?
Yeah,
I give you 7 trillion. What are you giving me back? A quadrillion? You gonna make me a quadrillion?
No,
Okay, I'll give you 7. right? That
Yeah.
would be it, right? What's your return? Because it's always 10 times or 20 times in tech. In theory, that would be either 700 trillion, right? Or a quadrillion. So are you giving me 70 trillion to a quadrillion back? Because really for that investment, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think Altman is like Bankman. He's a snake oil salesman that's trying to make this grandiose. We're gonna go to a supernova, a super intelligence. It's gonna take everybody out of poverty. Bullshit, right? Because we're still in a physical world. But
Right.
I think what he's trying to do is angling not only rich Arabs in the Arab world, but he's looking for governments to fund the whole shit so that he can
Right.
live in this. And which I say no, if you want to fund your own stuff, go fund it with private money, but he's
Right.
angling for public money, and we should just completely shut it down because we got
Yeah.
other problems to deal with. As you
Right.
pointed out.
More immediate. Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
people that are
Suffering now.
let's just say 70% of the US working population is working paycheck to paycheck.
That's
And
right.
hey, and if you go into, even if you have health insurance here,
Still paying.
and you have some kind of a medical emergency, you're freaking bankrupt.
Yeah.
We don't need
Right.
the money for AI. We need it for real
Mm.
problems.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
Bankman's eyeing is angling for public money. So he talks about
Interesting.
trillions and super
Yeah.
intelligence. I don't know. That's just my take. Just
I mean,
I think
you think whoever gets it first, though? I mean, there is some sort of race to it, isn't there? I mean, just to
sure,
say,
just like quantum computing,
isn't there
Michael. There's a
to it?
race. There's an FT article yesterday about everyone's racing for the quantum computing. So to your point, there's a race to AI, but
It's going to
seven
take many
trillion,
steps to get there.
$7 trillion. You know what's $7 trillion?
Right.
The UAE and Saudi, all of them together, and Qatar, they have $7 trillion. So to your point earlier about how wonderful or terrible they are, if I'm them, I'd sit there and go, listen, the Jewish kid has come up with a really great idea. For $7 trillion, we could rule the world in 10 years. I'd be like, little Jewish boy, come here. We like you. Here's $7 trillion. Go do, because you know what? We make $1 trillion every other day. Go play. And I would like, there you go. And then their Shangri-La would be there. And then when they would sell it to the rest of the world, then that is your 10x, your 20x.
Right.
And that's the only way it's going to happen. I don't see where a government is going to do it other than them. China, is working on it. Everyone's working on it, but we're not working on it. Neither I don't think the Chinese are, or India, or these other countries. There's no altruistic end for that. They are looking at it as a military.
Right.
How do we make robot police, robot soldiers, it's not like, oh, we can make people healthier. We could do this. Now, I'm assuming Mr. Altman is trying to make people healthier, smarter, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But once again, you
It
want a
would be
government
to hear
I would
some
love
of
for,
it.
I know he's not going to come on our show because
Yeah, right.
none of them have the balls to come here. But if he
No.
did, that would really be, tell me why. Like walk me
What
through
is
$7
this
trillion, right?
utopia?
no, but
Yeah.
forget that. What's the use case for all of us to using AI?
Right.
Look, at the end of the day, he wants to make money, and so
Right.
it's just, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But
No, I agree.
Yeah.
you have to create the need so that we go pay $10 a month for
Right.
a service,
20.
right?
It's
It's
$20 a
20,
month.
yeah.
John.
20.
I pay
Okay,
20 bucks a month
20.
for
Right.
ChatGPT 4.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, ChatGPT 4 gets stupider. And it does the same. We just get to do the same thing for every show. And then and I'll say, you've done this 800 times for me. How come you're stupid today? And it goes, I'm sorry. And then it does it right. So to your point, everybody else that's asking it questions is screwing it up. The people behind it are screwing it up. So until we have real AI, and I keep going back to Hal from 2001, I'm willing. That's what
AI.
That's what I want. I need that. I need my Hal from 2001. I got to change
what
his
he
name.
keeps saying we're going toward. That's what he's
Yeah.
saying. Autonomous AI built into robots that can move
Yeah.
around and actually help you out.
And kill us. So there you go. So
Yeah,
I'm with, if
just
an
create
AI,
chaos.
huh?
I'll just
John?
create chaos if we go to your model. Just look, we
Yeah.
live in a physical world,
That's true.
and
Yeah.
It's just okay. It's one. I don't know. I mean, is the common person going to really benefit from this? At what level?
I think yes, a little
Are
bit.
we going to
Like,
do? Is AI going to create new inventions? Is it going to? What's it going? What's it going to do?
probably 100 years, 200 years from now, depending on the level we let it go to, I think yes. I mean, we use it daily for work, whether it's for the show or for the other stuff, right? So we use it daily, and it does make things go faster. It makes things better because we can go quicker now and do some things. So I think yes, people can use it daily. You have to know how to talk to it. It's a whole thing. As it gets smarter, for lack of a better term, or has a conscious or whatever you want to call it, and it starts interacting with you, I think that'll be interesting. But I know then that goes to the other premise of what's going to be like the kill switch. What are we going to, what kind of morals are we going to put it with? What are we going to do?
Oh
If
yeah.
I'm AI and I look at it, TikTok, Instagram, and the internet, I'm just literally going to wipe out the human civilization like the next day. I'm like, listen, these people
Don't
are
judge
really
us on
wicked.
that alone.
Yeah, really. Like, please don't judge us on that. So it really is interesting. So one day, I would love to have one of these guys come on and walk us through it, like the
Right.
dummy's guide to where we are today to $7 trillion, and really just say, okay, the
Yeah.
first trillion does this, the second trillion does this, the third, the fourth, and get me through that. And whether if it's a country or a government or a person, I'm sorry, there has to be an ROI. So if I'm a government, let's say this is our country. The country is Stephen, Michael, and John. That's our country. And we have 50 gazillion, a quadrillion dollars, right? So we're richer than everybody. And we're like, all right, bring the nice little boy over. We'll give him 7 trillion. At the end of the day, I still want to know what's in it for me.
What's going to happen?
Right. Am I getting 10 or 20x back? What's it going to do? Why? And then at that point, I'm also probably trying to develop quantum computing, because between the two of those, now you have, I think, the sentient being that everybody's worried about.
Look, I'm just correct. At this point, look, we have physical problems.
Right. I agree.
Whether you believe in climate change or not, anyway, this stuff that's affecting us.
Yeah.
We got a world population that's 7 billion. And we're going to 8.
No, we have 8. We have 8 the other day.
We have 8 billion. Okay, 8 billion. Shit.
John slept through the last billion. No big deal.
I don't remember 8. 7 was.
I'll check.
But in
Go
any
ahead.
case, we have it's I'm like a broken record, but AI, is it going to increase? Is it going to make our food production less less sort of made of polluting or demanding from the needs of fossil fuels? Because look, most fertilizer, let's call it 95% of fertilizer is made out of the fuel that to make fertilizer is natural gas, right? Is AI going to help us with that? The complaints that we have about fossil fuels, I don't know. I don't think so.
We'll see.
It's a lot of dreaming right now.
Yeah, we have these people in the ivory tower here, and then we got the reality here, which is 90% of the world is poor, and how am I going to feed myself? And we're talking AI. Who the hell? I mean, I wish we wouldn't get sucked into this stuff.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Altman, if you're out there and you're listening, which everybody listens to our show, you want to come explain $7 trillion to us. I mean, we know what it is. Just explain why you need 7 trillion. Just to let everybody know, because John slept through the last 2 years, and so apparently we all did, that 8 billion. 8 billion people was reached on November 15th, 2022.
Wow. Okay.
There you go. So
okay, I was
8 billion people.
I was gonna go to what is it? Pi AI, which
right. No. I'm looking right at it. It says according to the thing, and now so in 2037, if we don't all kill each other, there'll be 9 billion people.
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's just ridiculous.
All right. Well, let's talking about ridiculous. Let's talk about $3,500 headset that people are returning. What the hell, Apple?
$3,500 is the starting price for the Apple Vision Pros.
Yeah. And people are returning it.
by the time you put in the more additional memory and the
Okay.
Apple Care and the taxes,
$5,000, right?
$5,000, right?
It's pretty
$5,000
high.
later. So, and
Yeah,
people are returning it because they said it's heavy and they're getting headaches, if I remember the
Yeah.
article correctly.
That's right.
Interesting.
That's right. Yeah, and things that nobody expected, right? No,
Right,
but the
right.
thing is, they make a good. The Verge is, and there are many people reporting on this because it's all over social media now.
Right,
That
right,
Yeah.
people are returning within that 2-week window that you get with Apple products.
right.
But comfort is this big deal, which is expected for something that is front heavy, you would think, and not
Yep.
everybody's head is going to be shaped the same way. So you need to consider that it's not going to work for some people. But yeah, the comfort is a big one, and it's also triggered motion sickness in several lots of people, of course.
Yeah.
So that's also part of the reason why, despite the magic, people are returning.
I will tell you that some of the stuff we do, we use a Quest 2. Now, I'm not touting it. It's not good. It's bad. It's the same POS as the Apple, as far as I'm concerned. But I will tell you that what I have found when I have to use it, if I'm sitting down and I've eaten, I don't get sick. If I stand up, if I'm standing up in a big open space, I'm okay. A small space, no. But as long as I have food in my stomach, I'm okay. I've got it to a point where I don't get headaches anymore because I've adjusted it like it's perfect. But it takes a while. What I found is to get used to wearing whether it's the Oculus or whether I haven't done the Apple, but it takes a while to get used to those because it's a whole different thing. Now, if you're somebody who likes to go to Disney and go on Space Mountain, you're fine. But it really is the first time you look down and there's no floor. There's no people who get motion sick. So then I'm like, oh, I'll just sit down. And I just sat down and used it. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Flying around was no big deal after that. I was like, oh, okay. So I think you have to experiment with it. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying I found using this thing over the last few years, you have to kind of experiment how to use it. That's right for you. There's no right for everybody. It's not like driving a car where we all pretty much do the same thing. This is a whole nother world, so to speak. So I don't know. I think it's a lot of money for.
It's a lot of money, but so was the iPhone, and when it first came out, I mean, the iPhone was double the price of a common cell phone at the time.
But it didn't.
Well, what's that?
It did
work. Yeah,
and it did. Well, it did more. That's the second part of the conversation. It did more, right? So that's the other thing that many people are saying is that there's no killer app for the Vision Pro yet. And Apple reduced their manufacturing requirements anyway, their production numbers early on in the day. They thought it was going to be a much higher production run, but yeah, what is it? What are people actually using it for? Is the bigger question too? Because when there is something that's going to get everybody on it, people will buy it.
Yes.
At 3,500,
see what happens.
Until then,
at 3,500, I think it's.
Listen, $1,000, I'm okay. At 3,500, I'm like, there's more shit. I could buy a lot of stuff for 3,500. And to your point earlier, $5,000 by the time they get done nickel and diming me for all the other shit I got to buy.
Yeah.
So for $5,000, I could buy tons of stuff, or I could actually go take a trip to Vegas and do first class for a weekend for $5,000. Right. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just, I think people are stupid. Maybe they're not that stupid. Maybe they're kind of like waking up.
Yeah, it reminds me of, you see now on the internet people boasting that they got a truck and they're paying $3,000 a month for 96 months. Right? It's like they're buying a house.
Yeah.
So if you tell me 3,500 for one payment, stupid people will pay that kind of money.
And hence why they don't have $7 trillion to give to Sam Altman.
He needs it. All right.
All right, boys. Let's do Lost and Found.
Lost and Found.
You ready? Are you ready, John?
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Welcome to this week's Lost and Found, uncovering dollar winners and losers, where we discuss dollars lost and dollars gained by various companies and projects.
Oh, we're back. All right. Well,
Nice.
Mr. John, since you have the little
All right.
cupola
You
there,
got the magic
thing,
hat.
you got
All
the
right,
magic hat
so
today. What do you got?
okay, so I've my big thing is the Germans are on this. Well, no, I think they've completed their self. Uh, I don't know what to call it, but anyway, self suicide, let's call it, of
Okay.
their of just their economy because of this. The Greens push for
Mm.
zero carbon, right? They
Right.
closed down in April of last year. They closed down the last remaining 3 nuclear plants. There, then we have this war with Ukraine. Their energy used to come nice and cheap from Russia, and for some stupid reason, they decided, hey, no, let's not do this anymore. Uh, a, a steel a steel company that produces tubes in Germany, a 124-year-old firm, is closing down because they can't compete anymore because of their
Wow.
energy bill,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
And many other industries, chemical industry also. Michelin has 3 factories in tire factories in Germany. They're reducing their production because they can't compete. The
Wow.
Germans, meanwhile, are investing in China, who is basically competing with them. They're just the idiocy is just amazing. And one last factor, industrial production in Germany peaked in 2017. It's now down, I don't know, about 15-20% from that high level, and
Wow.
and coming down big time. So and to top it off, they're investing, I don't know, some 16 to 20 billion dollars in new natural gas plants, which sort of this everybody thinks is nirvana, but they're not as polluting as coal, but they're pretty close because
Right.
natural gas is not a
Cool.
clean thing, right? You
Yeah.
you
That's true.
release methane. So
Stand behind a cow.
lost gazillions, I think, Germany that used to be the power horse of Europe,
Mm.
now just going into serious decline. So that's my
Oof.
yeah.
Wow. That sucks. Well, that's
Yeah, that's
depressing.
a lost dollar.
So that's a
That's a
lost
lost
dollar.
dollar, yeah.
Except for the Chinese, apparently. So,
Yeah.
Michael, what
Well,
do
No, the
you
yeah,
have?
Chinese are
that's
What?
right.
laughing all the way to the bank.
I
Oh
know, right?
God.
What
Yeah,
Oh,
do you,
yeah.
world dominance? Yeah. What?
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so the guys in this steel company, uh, their their job now is to dismantle the factory.
oh
Right,
my
it's
gosh.
not
Oh,
just a temporary thing. And so
Oh,
now your
like really
job is
do it.
they fired most of the people and the leftover crew, dismantle the baby. You know,
Oh my God.
oof.
Wow. That
yeah.
sucks.
Anyway, do you
That's
have
another lost dollar.
the lost cha-ching?
That
No.
that's all David. David's the sound guy. I got nothing. Michael, what do you
Yeah.
have?
Well, I've got a chat bot that went rogue on Air Canada.
Oh,
Oh my God. He ran
apparently,
around the
apparently
plane
it's
or
no. Apparently, it's a chat bot that's
yeah.
on Air Canada's website, and it gave bad
Yeah.
advice. It gave
Oh
bad
my
advice
God.
on plane tickets, and
oh boy.
the it was a grieving grandchild who bought tickets at a higher price than he should have paid because the chatbot told him to do it, and the
Oh my
chatbot was
God.
wrong. So he goes to the Civil Resolution Tribunal in Canada to say, the chatbots are responsible. Air Canada's responsible. They should give me my money back.
Right.
And the airline tried to say that the chatbot wasn't responsible. They claimed that the tool was, quote, a separate legal entity that is responsible for its own actions, which, of course, is
Wow.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, so they are responsible. They did have to pay him some amount of money. And the chatbot, we don't know if they took it off the site, but I imagine it's in the penalty box.
Wow, that is
Wow.
too funny. So
It's
it's a
its own
lost
legal
dollar for Air
entity.
Canada. It's lost. What that's what Sam Altman's going to be telling you when
He's
the
going to
AI
say
is
that's why
killing
we need
everybody.
7 trillion.
$1 trillion to
Yeah,
make it its own legal entity. Yeah, that's
That's right.
wild.
Ugh.
not
We
good.
really lived in a fakakta world. That's all I can
Not
say.
It's
bueno.
Proctor. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
no bueno. I agree with
Well,
John.
what do you
Okay,
got from this Proctor
I got a
world?
couple I'll do some real quick ones. There was an article that came out the other day, and it's been on Fox News. Everyone thinks Michelle Obama is going to be the Democratic president nominee. Biden's going to announce it at the convention this summer. We'll see. Who knows? There's an article today in the FT talking about Trump, how the world is now bracing for him being president because America will lose its superpowerness. I can go with that. Elon Musk is moving SpaceX from Delaware to Texas because he cried he needs to make another 17 trillion because Texas definitely won't fight him. And then the big one that I saw, which is, I think I don't know who it's a win or lose, is that Audi and Bentley, the VW group, can't release cars from the port because apparently there is a chip in the car that has not passed like our security whatever. So there's all these cars now sitting in ports in America that cannot be delivered.
Ooh,
because of
for
a chip.
one chip.
For a chip that the government says, we don't know if that is compliant. And so I don't know how many, it didn't tell how many cars, but one of the dealers was like, this is not good. And I'm thinking, well,
Wow.
you should stick with the old Bentley and then an old Audi, I guess.
Right,
So yeah, so that
without
was
chips. Without chips.
So for the VW group, that's a little, I guess they would put a boom boom, thing.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah.
That's a loss. That's a loss.
That's
well,
a
lot of interesting, relatively loss-generating news topics. I think you gave us today.
There you go. And the best topic of the week, Jon Stewart came back to the Daily Show.
All right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, came back as of Monday because he wants to be once a week. He's going to talk about what's going on because he wants to make sure that people realize Trump, what's going on politically. Remember when he did the Daily Show 20 years ago?
Yeah,
he took it from nothing to something, and he was like Walter Cronkite. He was like the most trusted guy in America.
Mm-hmm.
And people really like him because he gives you both sides of the coin, an A and a B. And then look what he launched: John Oliver, Steve Colbert. All these guys that got, he launched a lot of people. So yeah, so we'll see. It'll be interesting to have him back.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the news is reshaping. The news market is definitely reshaping itself. So
that's why people watch our show.
That's right.
Because it's also a fashion show. Look at John; he's got fashion going.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, gentlemen, John.
Yes.
First of all, we know you're going to be away for 6 to 8 weeks. Have a safe trip. Happy hunting, as we say. And you be safe. Don't get in too much trouble. Michael, have a nice week off. Everybody, all our fans, we'll see you in a fortnight. And don't forget to subscribe and like. Tell your friends. And if you don't like our show, don't tell anybody. I don't care. And that's it. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys in a fortnight. Cheers.
All right. See you then.
Bye, guys.